Bill Malushin.
I haven't posted in a while, so please subscribe.
Who was deported during the Trump administration and re-entered the country at some point, evading Border Patrol when he crossed the second time. But remember, we were all told under oath by Secretary Mayorkas and others, the border was secure. And now we're being told that the subways of New York City are safe. New York Governor Kathy Hochul posted on X just hours after the murder, congratulating herself on her efforts to make the subway system safer. She literally could not be any more out of touch. Hochul probably regrets that post, or at least the timing of it. She was called out on it by everyone from New York Congressman Richie Torres to incoming Trump border czar Tom Homan. Homan also took time recently to promise that the thousands of children who have come over the border under Biden and Harris and just disappeared into the country will be found and accounted for. Let's hear more about that from the man himself. Tom Homan, incoming border czar, joins us right now. Tom, thanks so much for joining us. I don't think anybody's on TV more these days, and I don't think it's important for anybody to be on TV as much as you, explaining what you plan on doing day one. Let's talk specifically about your promise to solve the problem that Alejandro Mayorkas and Biden Harris created, which is these missing children. Tell us what you can do and will do.
Well, that's going to be the most difficult part of it. Like President Trump gave me 3 priorities, right? He secure the border, run a deportation operation, and find these children, 340,000 missing children. It's going to be a tough job because what this administration has done. Whistleblowers from Health and Human Services are saying that many of the sponsors weren't fingerprinted and weren't properly vetted. The way we find people, like you and I, we both have a digital footprint, right? We own homes, we drive cars, we have a driver's license, we pay bills, we pay utilities. So there's a footprint now, the digital footprint for you and I. Children don't have a footprint, which means we got to, count on the footprint for the adults or the unvetted sponsors. And if they're not properly vetted, if they're not properly fingerprinted,
please subscribe.
Then we're starting out in a bad place. That's why we're going to bring in a lot of the civil organizations around the country, private organizations that have been working this child trafficking issue for the last several years. We're also going to count on American people. We're going to establish 1-800 number and ask the American people to help us out. Parents have an innate ability to see something that's not right, whether it's a child in the workplace or a child with an adult that just doesn't seem right.
Before all this, they were talking about New York City. A lady set a fire by an illegal immigrant and then sat down and watched.
Trafficking or forced labor, then that's one life saved. So it's going to be a daunting task, but we're going to give it everything we got.
You know, Tom, I appreciate you
on the same day, 2 stabbings
in the first term where we
on the subway.
What do the left constantly criticize us for? That these children and many of their parents are trying to escape injustices in their home countries and come here. And you're telling me that the children who came here may have been brought here by coyotes, by folks who, God forbid, harmed them in some way, and then we don't even know what's happened to them when they're here. It's very difficult to justify that somehow they escaped tough circumstances, and now we as a nation, the richest, most powerful nation in the world, can't find these kids. Is there something going on beyond the incompetence and the epidemic of just looking the other way from the Biden-Harris-Mayorkas administration? Or do you think there was something more systemic happening here, that these kids are just missing?
Well, look, we know that over 500,000 children were trafficked in this country under Joe Biden's and Alejandro Mayorkas' overwatch. And we know that many of these children are going to be in sex trafficking and labor trafficking. This is just not Tom Homan's opinion. I mean, done this for 3.5 decades. ICE has already found many of these children in factories, cleaning up entrails in a meatpacking plant in the midnight shift. We found some living with predators. So, I think this, and the biggest shock from all is the Secretary for HHS, Becerra. He's on stage bragging about how quick they take these children in custody and release them. They release them at record pace, he says, because one thing that this administration is concerned about, the only thing they're concerned about is the optics of this system.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.
If there's no overcrowding, then there's nothing to see here. So that's why they released these children without proper vetting. They stopped the DNA testing. They stopped the proper vetting. Under the Trump administration, we had DNA testing. We vetted everybody in the household, not just a sponsor, but anybody that lived in the household to make sure there wasn't a gang member, a child predator living in that household. So this is This isn't incompetence, this isn't mismanagement, this is by design. This is about moving as many people in this country as possible because they see a future political benefit in all this. Do I think they meant to put children's harmony? I don't know that. I have my suspicions, but what they did is harming hundreds of thousands of children. And I tell you right now, some of these children we're never going to find. Some of these children are dead. Some of these children are living a life of hell every day, but we're going to do everything we can to rescue as many as we can and get them back to their families. We'll deal with the immigration consequences later. We got to get these kids back to their families, and we got to make sure they're protected.
Unspeakable. So you've talked a lot about what you're going to do on day one and week one and month one. I'd like you to project forward a similar question that I asked Senator Haggerty from the Senate perspective. To Tom Homan, our border czar, what would qualify as success to you 100 days in, 1 year, 2 years in? What does that look like to you?
That the border is secure, that the crossings on the border are at a historic lows that were against Trump. And it won't take long. We already did it once. We just got to dust off those plans. We won't need.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. See you next time.